Uh-oh, guess what day it is? What day it is? Hey everybody, welcome back. It's your crazy uncle. It is the 4th of May, 2022. Y'all know what that means. That means it's Star Wars-day. No, I didn't mispronounce that, shocker. Uh, it is Star Wars-day. It was the day that the first one hit the theaters, and that's why everybody calls it that. But I call it Star Wars-day for a different reason. Not only did it completely sell out and bend over like your normal, horror, um, but George Lucas, he sold out a long time ago. Well, I shouldn't say that totally. He didn't want to make as much money, so he sold the fans down. That sounds better. So, regardless, since it is, the wonderful Star Wars-day, and it seems like every time I turn on media today, that's all I hear. Oh, it's Star Wars-day. It's Star Wars Day. I don't care. Okay, they died a long time ago. Um, Now the thing is, when you think about it, and I'm sure a lot of people are probably watching this going, "Who's this asshole?" Well, let me make my point, and then you can chime in. At any time, you can chime in via the chat. Now, if you look at the Star Wars, something very particular shines immediately. There's no good guys in the entire thing. The only good guys that you get are the ones who are just regular people just trying to get by. That's it. Just regular folks trying to get by, and you know that's it. Hold on, I'm adjusting here. Um, Microphone. No, okay, it's on. Sorry about that. But something you should see there, first off, they always judge people by their color. We don't do that here in the US. At least we're not supposed to. But you judge people by the color of their glowing laser dildo. Um, yeah, and you got space wizards with laser dildos walking around. And eh, argue with me if you want, but that's what it is. And the reason you can easily call it that is you look at the way Star Wars is, and all the men carry just one, all the women carry two, and almost all the evil ones carry double ended. Think about that one for a second. It's just crazy. I, I hope you had a little bit of fun with that. Now, but the kicker is that's true. Almost every single one is the same exact way. Now, have they tried to change that a little bit? Sure. But they've also changed everything else. So it really doesn't matter. The franchise is dead. The only good one that I will ever tell anybody that they should watch is that CGI show, The Clone Wars. Okay. Why? And I do recommend you watch them actually in order. Um, it's important. It's just better. I've watched it the way it came out, and then I watched it in order. Watching it in order is actually a whole lot better because you're not lost at all. But in there, you get introduced to what I think is the best idea they had for Star Wars since its inception, and that is Ahsoka. Okay, now that came out. I think I was in my late 20s when that came out. I think late 20s, early 30s. So I personally look at Ahsoka as like one of my nieces. Okay, she was kind of bratty when she gets all pissed off. She still has that kind of young girl vibe going on, which is excellent. Okay, that's good writing. That's great art style. That's everything else. That's just really great. I enjoyed it a lot, even though I could have my fill of the space wizards. I mean, seriously, people, enough of the space wizards. Just because you're telekinetics and you're running around with a glowing dildo, you really need to focus the story somewhere else. And they did. And that's what makes the Clone Wars so much better is they actually focused on the clones. They focused on the population, how they're dealing with crap. All these different cultures, how they have to deal with being proxies in a huge war. They have really no dog in this fight. So, it is what it is. And that's where they shined. That's where they truly, truly shined. And I will give props when it's needed to the folks who created the Clone Wars, who actually produced it, and they didn't go full retard, because you never go full retard. And it's very important that you don't do anything crazy like that. Going woke is going full retard. Okay, that's going to be my whole thing. When I say you don't go full retard, that's what I mean, because you never go full retard. The only good line in that horrible movie, by the way, that movie's god awful. In any case, the way they designed it, if you watch it in chronological order, she goes from a arrogant little brat who graduated early, which, by the way, I kind of wish we could do with our own kids, if they're smart enough to do so. Sorry, I got an itch. And she gets a hard life lesson, and she gets knocked down a peg or three, and eventually she builds herself up. She works more of her confidence, and eventually she becomes the instructor. She becomes the leader in her own right, and she hits the adversity, and she gets up afterwards. It's very important that you get up after you get knocked down. If you are trying to do something, it's always important. If something knocks you back, knocks you down, you don't let it affect you like that. You just keep going. You just have to keep going. You don't have a choice. Now, they did an excellent job of that, to the point where when the character left the show, it actually was probably one of the best scenes I had seen in a TV show or movie in decades, really. Just, it was crazy how well it was executed. The voice actors did a good job. The CGI folks who did the face, they did a good job. They put the music in right. It was just done so well. But that is the only one I will ever say is good. The movies, for the first three that came out, episodes 6, 7, and 8, were good for their time. Now, people don't look at that dogfighting in space, and the idea of a fighter, like World War II style fighting in space is idiotic. Don't get me wrong. I'm a huge Babylon 5 fan. I like the Star Fury. It just doesn't make any sense when you have guided missiles and you can just flood the sky with those things, and in 10 to 15 microseconds, you've taken out the entire wing of freaking fighters because they can't dodge it unless you put up chaff or shoot it. But I digress. So what we got here, it's at the 4th of May. Outside of science fiction is some really messed up stuff. Okay, everybody's talking about Roe versus Wade, and I had to laugh my ass off when a bunch of these lefties, and if you're one of them, I'm sorry. No, I'm not. Are saying, "Oh, well, if that's the case, I'll just go on a sexual strike." Have you seen the lefties? Holy crap! Most of these you wouldn't want to fuck in the first place, ever. Why would you want to? Most of them are fat. Most of them are unhygienic. Most of them look like they freaking dove into different piles of paint. They're so covered with tattoos, literally from the top of their head down. They've got more metal in their face than I've had in 2 tackle boxes. And I'm sitting there going, no, I wouldn't do you. And I don't know anybody else who would do you either. So hold on, let me adjust this. So as that sits, you got to look and say, why? Okay, a lot of women are like this too. Well, I just won't have sex. Well, then okay, don't have sex. And the thing is, ladies, you have the door to all, as far as we're concerned, the door to sexual activity. That's what you have. Okay, you right there, you control that. In the Western world, you control more than you want to understand that you do. And that lies the rub, because if there's one thing you want to control, it's relationships. And I'm sorry, we, since we can't be the sexual gatekeepers, so to speak, we have to be the relationship gatekeepers. If you want to force government to be the relationship gatekeeper, it's the same thing. And here's a scenario, because I know you ladies talk in scenarios. Say you're as a kid and you're out there playing, and some kid shows up and said, you have to play by my rules. And you say, no, that would force me to lose and it would be painful. I wouldn't do that. Well, you have to. No, I don't want to. We're going to stay over here and we're going to continue to play. Well, they go and get a parent and force you to play that game. What would you do? Would you play the game knowing that you are going to get hurt? You are going to lose no matter what you do. The whole game is rigged against you. They could punch you in the face, kick you in the taint, which, by the way, is right here. Yeah, we have two of them, people. And spit in your eye, and it's never called a foul. But if you even look at them funny, it's a foul on you, and they get to take a penalty shot. What would you do? Would you still play the game? Of course not. You'd pick up and leave, and that is what leads to the guys going their own way. Okay, ladies, I can't explain it any better. You've rigged the game, which is like going in to play craps, and the dice are loaded in a way that will make sure that you lose every time. Would you play craps after that? Of course not. You'd be an idiot to do that. You'd be a moron. You'd be a shithead. As they used to say in All in the Family, meat head. Ladies, I don't get it. Do you not understand this? Or, a lot of you are probably sitting there, if you're watching this, going, oh, he's just mansplaining. And that's a dismissive argument. That is completely dismissive. That is saying, oh, I have no argument, so I'm going to just push this away. Ladies, that's why we have words like gender. And yes, that is the way it's pronounced, gender, because you have a fucking stroke thinking about how dumb this is. You and your genders, all 178, I think it's up to. It keeps going up. Okay, let me put you straightforward. Okay, no bullshit. Here is the straightforward answer. Your gender is your sexual preference. It has absolutely nothing to do with your biology. Nothing. The only time it has anything possible to do with your sexual or with your biological is when you act on said preference. So if you're one of those guys or ladies who swing on the other side of the fence, not that there's anything wrong with that, then you would have to work around that, because it's the wrong tools for the job. Just like they said on Babylon 5, this is wrong tool, which, by the way, is an awesome scene, and my hat's off to the actor for that. Regardless, gender is not to be confused with sex. Every time I saw an official form that said gender, male or female, I always raised my hand and said, "Excuse me, but where's the other 198 that you need on here?" Well, just write your gender. This is male and female is not gender. Oh, do you not understand? Your gender has nothing to do with what you were born with. Now, were you born with a kickstand? Were you born with an extra pocket? Were you born with neither? Were you born with both? Which, by the way, those other two do happen. It's rare. There's some guys walking around, and if they pulled their pants down, they'd look female because they were born that way, and vice versa. Someone who looks female but has a male appendage. It happens. It's exceptionally rare, but it does happen. Now, there are people who want to adjust that with surgery, and okay, you do you, but I'm still not calling you ma'am. No, it is not ma'am. It is ma'am. It is ma'am. No, it's not. Okay. Everyone knows that clip. Excuse me. It's not. No. So, but the thing is, out of everything that I just went over, you know what I'm going to get when anyone sees this? We're going to see, because right now I've got no viewers. What I'm going to get is a bunch of people going, well, you are right, but no. No. The reason they want to say but is very simple. What they're doing is trying to make the definition pliable, as in they can change the definition in some way, shape, or form in order to fit their means. But no, it doesn't work that way. Definitions are definite. They're locked in. If you don't understand that, I don't know what to tell you. Now, if you're out there dealing with a liberal and you are arguing with them, which, by the way, I don't recommend, because they will do anything, I mean anything, to get you to get on some emotional tangent. Don't do it. For the love of God, don't do it. Just be stoic. Nothing. Look them square in the eye, which, by the way, an easy way to do it without your eyes going back and forth. Focus your eyes on their left eye, the white on the inside. That is where you look. That allows your eyes to get the whole shape of the face without your eyes doing this shit. Because a lot of people will see, oh, his eyes are moving, or her eyes are moving. She must be nervous. No, it doesn't work that way. So, in any case, always be stoic and keep them on the point. This is exceptionally important. You have to keep them on the point. When they stray, you got to call them on it. And fair warning, liberals are going to get very, very nasty when you do this. I mean, seriously, seriously nasty when you do this. They are going to be after you. Holy crap. Like you just smacked them in the ass with a bullwhip or something. I mean, they're just going to be pissed. Do not be surprised if a female swings at you. Men, if you suspect that a woman is about to get violent, pull out your phone, begin recording, because that is your only way out. No, it didn't freeze. I'm just letting it sink in. That is your only way out, because I actually have a story for that. Now, since I recently retired from the U.S. Army, which I can get into more of that if I get any viewers and, they ask any questions. But we had a platoon sergeant. He let us know what was going on because he had to go to court over all this. He was a year or two married, no kids. Him and his wife got into it. He sent a text after leaving the house to one of his buddies who was in another company and said, hey, me and my wife got into it. I need to come over your house, let everybody calm down. It's like, sure, whatever. A couple hours later, they show up at his friend's house, put him in handcuffs. She called the cops and said, oh, he's beating on me. He's beating on me. The kicker is because that text message was sent and they had the response time. It was timestamped right there. And the fact that she had called about 3 hours later because she had, I guess, done a little bit of research and realized she could have got or just taken him to the cleaners and sent his ass to prison if all she did was claim it was domestic violence. And in that state, if domestic violence is called, just the words are said, somebody has to get arrested. It's required by law, which honestly, I'm like, what? Detained, sure. Detained for a couple hours, let everybody chill the fuck out. But arrested? And to be arrested, you need to be charged. Do they not understand? You need to be charged at that point, and that will always come up. Whether or not you're acquitted of the charges, it don't matter. Anyway, that simple text message kept him out of prison. Didn't keep him on a divorce court. And by the way, the JAG office took her, represented her, and he was told to go fuck himself, even though he went to the JAG office first. Yeah. Tell me that's not fucked up. He was the soldier, not her. But the JAG office says, oh, we don't ever deal with anybody when it comes to divorce. Bullshit. So anyway, on to some more lighthearted items. All right. And just some goofy army stories for anybody watching here. I'm already been on for 22 minutes, and I'm only going to go for about 40. And if I don't get anybody in, I'm going to cut this off. Now, this happened in Hawaii, and anybody who was in the 14th Infantry, you'll remember this. Well, maybe not the infantry, but my company. In any case, we're going up. We get dropped off in the bottom of this hill in the Kahukus. If you don't know, that's the big training area that we have. Now, normally this place is just cut off to civilians for a day or two beforehand before we get there, hopefully, so no civilians will be up there. When we're not using it, the civilians can. Regardless, we start at the bottom of this hill, and we have to go up, and we have to walk with full kit up this hill. And you want to talk about just a mind fuck. You go up, and you see a turn, you think you're at the top, and you turn, it flattens off for a minute, goes off to the side, and then it goes up again. You're like, oh crap, here we got to go. It's every like 5 minutes, and we walk for like 2 hours. It was just, mentally exhausting. On top of that, my gunner, some total piece of shit, just a scrawny little, I hope you're watching, you piece of trash. He can't make it. He keeps falling back. And I'm the assistant gunner, so I got the tripod and all the ammo because this guy, oh, you're supposed to carry the ammo, AG. Yeah, go fuck yourself because we're supposed to share it, you bastard. Well, I have to stay with him. My squad leader gets so pissed off at him because this fucker won't move that he grabs the 240, throws it at my chest, and says, get to the platoon. We were the last platoon to start and the first platoon to finish, minus this one guy. This one guy was so far back, we were sitting there while everybody else had already bedded down, where we had to wait an extra like 20 minutes for this fucker. Well, where we were was right next to the radar station in Hawaii. If you haven't seen the movie Battleship, because yes, that was the Navy radar station, those giant golf ball looking things. If you've seen a Doppler radar, it looks the same. Okay. And we finally get this guy. We all set up our patrol base, basically a giant circle. It's Hawaii, so we don't need to get bedrolls out. Most of us pulled out a poncho liner just to, keep the dew off. And we're laying there. And the two guys on duty, one is this asshole who took forever, And then there's another guy who was probably one of the best shots I've ever seen in my life. He's like, and that shooter just, we can hear him go, dude, what the hell happened? And the fucker goes, I don't know, man, but I was sucking hard when I got to the balls. Attempt to keep noise and light discipline. When you're laughing so hard, you're about to piss your pants. Fun. You know, even though seems like retirement's not paying for shit. You know, and that's thanks to a couple officers, but I can get into that some other time. Sorry, I just got a message. Had to check it out. And you know, goofy stuff like that happens all the time. I mean, come on. I was on the machine gun range, and it was my turn to shoot, so I'm down behind the machine gun. And yes, this is how you do it. Your hands on the back of the buttstock, your head's on that, and you're looking down the sights, your fingers on the pistol grip. And by the way, the way you time it, you go, die, motherfucker, die. Die, motherfucker, die. Die, motherfucker. That actually times your rounds. 5 to 7 rounds with a 240. And 9 to 11 rounds with the saw because it fires faster. Squad automatic weapon if you didn't know. Regardless, the guy up in the tower thought he'd be funny. Because he can hear one of the guys down working with us. He's screaming, can't you hit the target, asshole? He's like, and we hear from the tower, who is that down there? And he just screams up, he's an asshole. And it's like, and there's this pause. And I should have seen this coming. All we hear is, really? How many assholes do we have down the line right now? We all go, yo! And I swear he would have said right away, keep firing assholes. And he wouldn't have paused as long if he wasn't laughing so damn hard. And if you don't know that reference, you're missing out on one of the greatest satire movies ever made, which is fitting because we are on Star Wars Day. Anyway, so let's change gears here. Let's talk about Ukraine for a little bit. What's happening in Ukraine? Russia's not fully into it, mainly because they can't be. Okay, let's break this down and understand one thing before I even start. Amateurs start by talking tactics. Professionals start by talking logistics. I've done this myself. I've been on both ends of this. You get a mission, it's like, okay, how are we going to do this? Well, here's another situation where they're like, okay, here's what you got to do. Okay, what do I have? Not how am I going to do this? What do I have? If you do that, you're better off. Now, a lot of these weapon systems that the Russians are using are very, not just out of date, but out of service. Excuse me. Very much out of service. And because of that, they've had to cannibalize other vehicles just to get them going. But that's not the major issue. The major issue is the tactics that go along with this, which fall into the logistics. Bear with me because this takes a second. The Russian doctrine is based on a defensive war, a defense in depth, also known as a castle defense. And in the modern era, a hippity-hoppity, get the fuck off my property. So they were going to be reliant, very much so, on the rail system and the internal roads of Russia to get their logistics to where they need to go. They had not planned to be the aggressor. And that was the main problem, is they did not have the logistics. That huge convoy over above was it Lviv? I have trouble pronouncing it. I can't speak Russian. I know how to say cheers to raise a glass in Russian because it's the same word you say in Polish. Nastrovia. In any case, they ran out of gas. How do you not plan for that? Seriously, how do you not plan to have gas on a mechanized movement? It to us Americans who have been in the service, that boggles the mind. It so totally boggles the mind to you just can't wrap your brain around it. So they went in with tactics that were reliant on the logistics chain. The problem is the logistics chain for them is not there. Their logistics chain is very static. It doesn't move. There's no flexibility to it. So when they finally did start moving their supply convoys, they neglected a simple truth that we found in Vietnam. The enemy doesn't want to attack your infantry. They almost never want to face off against your armor. What they do want is your support units because they believe the support units is a nice, easy, squishy target. And in this case, they were right. What we do is we have Humvees rolling with them. We have tanks rolling with them. Back in Vietnam, they had gun trucks. We have all sorts of heavy ordnance. Our rigs, our HETs, our heavy equipment transports, all have turrets in them because we're not fucking around. We know how important the logistics portion is. In both world wars, it's been reliant on our logistics across the board for everybody to win. So we understand the importance of the logistics. Their supply convoys were not guarded and were very lightly armed, which made them very easy targets to take out once they were located. The hard part was finding them. And that is why Russia's initial movement failed. It stalled for so long. All it did was allowed Ukraine to sharpen their spears and be more ready for you. They dug in like a tick and they literally said, "Bring it on, bitch." Well, at least some of the Ukrainian people. Now, the thing with Ukraine is they could have already lost if it wasn't for the fact that places like Mariupol were such a hard place to crack. Now, urban centers are just a hard thing to crack anyway, but the fact that if it was a full-on two-pronged attack, one towards the capital and one coming from the east across the Donbass region, a straight up, no bullshit, we're taking absolutely no prisoners, let's fuck up everybody push, they could have made it almost all the way to Odessa. And they could have taken that whole southern area. Now, as a small side note, if you're wondering, well, what would they have done with the cities? Would they nuke them? No. They would have done what armies have been doing since siege warfare was a thing. They would have blocked them off, surrounded them, and said, you got two choices. You can either stay in there and starve, or you can surrender. It might take a couple of weeks, but they'll start coming out with their hands up and their pants down. Because if there's one part of Game of Thrones they got absolutely fucking right, was that scene with Tyrion and Bronn. And they're talking about the defense of their capital. And Bronn decided to have all his guys kill all the thieves. And he's saying, have any of you, either of you been in a siege before? Maybe this isn't in your books, but it's not the fighting that kills most people. It's the starving. He's right. Throughout history, it's riddled with times where an approaching army has not taken the city or the castle, they have just encircled it and waited. Most of these places didn't have food for more than a couple of weeks. You'd be amazed, absolutely amazed, some of the shit people will do when they're that hungry. Now, as far as the whole should we get involved in Ukraine and Russia? Well, remember what I said about Star Wars and there's no good guys? Well, who am I supposed to back? The socialist named Vladimir or the socialist named Vladimir? Think about it. Both of them are socialist governments. Why in the flying fuck knuckles are we even considering helping either side out? We're not supposed to be socialists. Unfortunately, we have too many in DC. It's just absolutely insane how many there are. But I mean, oh, by the way, we call our socialists Democrats. It's their liberal way of well, they're all socialists. The liberals, the Democrats, the fascists, the what's the other one? What's the one with king and queens and stuff? Anyway, socialism is based on class system anyway, and you can't leave the class you are born into. You can't raise yourself above that. You know who likes that? Folks who believe in old money. But that's a whole nother conversation. I'm not going to get into that right now. But that's actually quite interesting for those that don't understand. But regardless, there's no side that we need to be on. What we are going to face is the fact that there are certain people that are trying to manipulate the market to try and force prices up so they can make a lot more money, even though they already make billions. They're going to try to make as much money as possible off of this because misery is big business. And the one thing we have to worry about, especially over here on this side of the moat, so to speak, is the fact that in Ukraine, the last time the fields were not planted and not maintained correctly was the Holodomor. I've sent this in to Terrence, Pop, and Blake a lot. It's horrible. Okay. Some of the pictures that came out of there are just absolutely gut wrenching. And I've seen people pretty much vaporized in combat. So it's if it's turning my stomach, believe me, it's going to mess you up pretty good. So on that one, all I can say is have enough supplies on hand to get you and yours through. Don't tell anybody what you have for the love of all that is holy. Do not tell anybody what you have. I don't care if you're related to that person or anything like that. If they see that you're growing a garden and ask you, hey, how do you grow this or that? That's one thing. Or, oh, you got chickens? Oh, I was thinking about chickens. What should I do? Blah, blah. Oh, you got goats? Are goats cool to have around? What can you get from them? Blah, blah, blah. Whatever. That's fine. If you can't hide it, you can't hide fruit trees. They're out in the middle of the ether. But you don't need to tell anybody what you got. Because if things go bad, and I've been around places where it's been bad before, and you don't want that. Trust me. Oh, it's horrible. Okay, it absolutely sucks balls on just a level you don't want to be at. But when it gets that bad, I've actually had this question put in front of me. Would you kill somebody for a tomato? Well, if that tomato was the difference between one of my nieces or nephews living and dying, I'm pretty sure I'm spending the money on the bullet. And I would expect anybody who actually gives a flying shit about their family to do the same thing. So keep that in mind. Now, as a final thought, I'm going to go through here. You know what? I've talked enough dark stuff. I'm going to finish this up with another funny army story. Okay. Which one? Should I take one from which of the 9 duty stations I should take this one from? You know what? I got so many going through my head, it's hard to focus on which one. All right. Well, here's one some of you can take to heart. For those of you who actually do take pride in your work and actually work your ass off, this is one of those things you can actually look forward to. When I was leaving Korea, okay, there's a lot more to this than what I'm going to say, but I'm just going to give you the Cliff Notes. Because I spent the time every day, minus Sunday, working with the guys, making sure their training was good, their physical training was good, everything as best as I could make it. We had a regimen. You get up, you do PT 09, you're in the day room, unless you have to be on the track line. You pull the weapons, clean the weapons, whatever it was for that day. You learn something until right before lunch, and then it was check on learning. And depending on if we actually had to go outside and actually do what we're doing, then we would go to the gym just about every day. It was hard to keep a lot of people to stay there because you're working at your level, because we already did company PT. We're going to run to the gym, and it was a long way down. So you're getting a little more PT anyway, PT, physical training. In any case, because I did that so much, and we had a rule that if 2 guys had a problem, they could settle it in the day room. Thankfully, that almost never happened, but they had to have 1, their mouth guards, and 2, they had to have an NCO present, and 3, they had to have a safety for each of them. And if you know anything about any type of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you know why you would need all that when you're on a tile floor. The reason we didn't go outside is because we didn't need the officers getting in our shit. Anyway, I get this knock on the door, and I'm thinking, oh shit, now what? Who's fighting? I say, come in. I look over because I have to look around something. I was like, what? He said, hey, Sergeant, can you come to the day room? Oh, who's fighting now? Oh, it's not like that, Sergeant. Oh, okay, whatever. So, and this is right after work. So I rush on down there, and I go in. There's nothing but E4 and below in there. And I'm thinking, I'm so gonna get jumped here. Oh, shit. Well, shocker, I didn't. I saw a telltale box in the corner. I was like, what's this? And they said, well, this is, we want to get you something. And they actually went out on their own. They got me a little plaque sort of thing. And, they presented it to me. And I was as stone-faced I could. And I kind of joked with them, all this time looking at my name tape, you still messed up my last name. And they're like, oh, we'll get it redone. I'm like, no, leave it. It's good. And, but when they said, you seem to be the only NCO who truly gives a shit, hit me a little bit. But I mean, come on. You see my name 6 days a week for the past 8 months. You really think you can't? You got to spell it's a Y, you asshole. Whatever. And the only reason I bring that up is because, those of you who think you're not actually respected for the work you do, yes, you are. And if you ever hear your peers say the phrase, "You're making us look bad," you are not making them look bad. That's their problem. Fuck them. So, anyway, let's see. You know what? Okay, another quick one, and yes, quick army story. Okay, this is the reason why, even though this is called talk over beer, you don't see me holding a beer and getting all plastered off my ass. I don't really drink anymore, and one of the reasons is and this is Korea as well. We went out for New Year's, and this is, like I said, I was working out a lot. This is my heavy workout days. I was a beast. In any case, these people kept handing me drinks. I figured, it's New Year's, whatever. Let's get a little wasted. And I thought I could drink like I could before. No. And what I didn't know is that two of the Korean females there were getting a little interested in me. Well, they kind of lost interest when I started losing my breakfast from the night before or from the morning of. I mean, it's just, no, guys, no. Well, not only was that embarrassing as all hell and me not getting a surprise Korean menage a trois, well, I'm an early riser. And a lot of people had gotten pictures. At least they thought they did. If you guys are watching this, you didn't forget to save the pictures. I deleted them. So there are no pictures out in the ether of me leaning over a bathtub, barfing my guts out while some Korean chick is pissing on the toilet. So on that one, if you're a young guy watching this, don't drink. Okay? Have your one drink, maybe, just to be social. That's it. Okay? You don't even know what your tolerance is. And I want y'all to be set up for success. So anyway, time for my safety brief. Let's see. If you drink, you don't drive. If you drive, you don't drink. If your buddy wants to drink and drive, what do? Kick his fucking ass. Okay? If you're going to do drugs, call me up so we can share. If you don't share, I'm going to be pissed. If your little soldier's going in the bush, make sure he wears his poncho. All right. And take care of yourselves out there. This is your crazy uncle punching out.